The Weeknd's new movie, Hurry Up Tomorrow, is now out. Is it any good? Let's talk about it.
Something has to change.
Hurry Up Tomorrow follows an insomniac musician who encounters a mysterious stranger, leading to a journey that changes everything about him. Before I start, I do want to make it clear that I'm actually a big fan of The Weeknd and his music, as I've listened to all of his albums many times over and over again, and his latest album, Hurry Up Tomorrow, is my favorite album of the year so far, and I don't think anything is going to pass it in the near future. It's perfect, it's a masterpiece to me, but if I had to pick my favorite album of his of all time, it'd either be House of Balloons, which is basically a part of the trilogy album that he released, or Hurry Up Tomorrow, as I think both of those are just perfect. But I also want to say that I'm not like a die-hard Weeknd stan. Like, I'm not, a stan of him, which is basically the most hardcore fan that you can be. I don't, follow his every move on social media. I'm just like a huge fan of his music. And actually, if you're not chronically online like some other people are, this movie is basically a companion piece to his Hurry Up Tomorrow album, as pretty much it's a visual representation of the songs in that piece. And even though I went into this movie at the fan event really excited to see it, I ended up walking out pretty much hating it and thinking that it's terrible. And my main reason behind that is that it's a movie which operates with all style but no substance to back it up. What I mean by no substance is that this movie really won't work for people that aren't engaged in The Weeknd's main life and his problems that he had at the concert at SoFi Stadium a couple years ago. If you're not even familiar what this was, he kind of had this big concert at SoFi. I think it was with the After Albums album, or it was Dawn FM, but a lot of people were there, and he lost his voice, I think, during the middle of this concert, so he couldn't continue. And that was actually a big part of a mental struggle for him. It wasn't a physical struggle, he said, it was a mental struggle. And even for someone like me who knew a little about this situation, this still felt like a movie filled with no story and probably a script that was less than 50 pages, as it more or less felt like a continuous music video with small cutscenes. And instead of a music video being like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, depending on the song length, this was an hour and 45 minutes long of just continuous music and hardly any story. I wouldn't even put all the blame here on Trey Edward Schultz, who's the director of this movie, because I don't think he's a bad director. I liked some of his previous movies. Waves is a great movie. I think it's still on Netflix, a very emotional movie. He does great at these emotional movies, and It Comes at Night is a pretty good movie. He did that one for A24. It's kind of like a really interesting horror movie. So yeah, I like some of his other movies. I think his direction's pretty good in those, and his direction here is also pretty good. It has a nice moment, especially the concert scenes. This movie kind of opens up with the main concert scene of The Weeknd and Abel singing Wake Me Up, which is the first song on the Hurry Up Tomorrow album. And then he basically has the problem of losing his voice, and that leads to his mental struggles throughout the movie. So I don't put the blame on Trey Edward Schultz here. I still think he's a great director. I'm still interested to see what he does next, but this sadly is a misstep for him. Reza Fahim probably had the worst impact on the movie, as he's one of the main writers on this. And guess what his other previous project was? The Idol. And that's basically his two writing projects that he has done. And The Idol, I watched one episode of that, and I couldn't continue. I thought it was just horrible. I think it is worse than this movie, even though I've only seen one episode. I heard that the rest of the episodes don't get any better, and I love Lily Rose Depp, but I couldn't get with that show. And in short, Reza probably thought this script was really smart and artsy and kind of like A24-esque, but in realistically, it doesn't use the themes of mental health and fame that well, outside of one scene that Abel and Jenna Ortega share, which is a really great scene. And then it spirals into a lot of nothing after that. But they do have one scene together where they share a really nice conversation about fame, and he shares his new song, which is the Hurry Up Tomorrow song, which is my favorite song off that album. But after that, it just doesn't go anywhere. And there's like a scene there in this movie where Abel's like walking around in a dark area, and there's like a big jump scare. I'm like, what is this now, a horror movie? And I thought it was just a little bit weird at that point. The acting between everyone was, decent. They really had nothing to work with. Abel, I still don't believe in him as an actor, even though I liked his performance in something like Uncut Gems. but this performance by him wasn't that great. I mean, it was better than what he did in The Idol, but it's still not that great. It's really kind of distracting compared to someone like Jenna Ortega, who I thought was pretty good here, but she's picking some odd projects. I did like it though when she starts singing songs to Abel. She sings Blinding Lights, Gasoline, some other songs here. Barry Keoghan has a small role, but he shows up and then he leaves, and then something bad happens to him. It goes off the rails. I'm not even sure what happened. So yeah, the performances are all right, but they really had nothing to work with script wise. Surprisingly, one of the better things about this movie was the pacing, as even though I thought this movie was really bad, it didn't really feel like a slog to sit through, and that's only because I'm a huge fan of The Weeknd's music and I was kind of just vibing in my seat. If you're not a big fan of The Weeknd, you probably have no reason to go see this movie. And I actually thought the score from Daniel Lapadin was also composed really well, and it mixed with Abel's music pretty well, and the combination between them was just heavenly. So I really enjoyed the score here as well. Overall, Hurry Up Tomorrow would have worked better as a short film compared to a movie that felt like a music video that was stretched to an hour and 45 minutes long. It has some nice moments here and there, and the music, of course, was great, being as the album was my favorite of the year so far, and the score is also pretty good, but it doesn't help that the movie and script is just all style and no substance. So as a big fan of The Weeknd, I was severely disappointed. I'm going to give Hurry Up Tomorrow a 3 out of 10. If you did go see this movie, make sure to leave your own thoughts down below in the comment section. If you did enjoy my review, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Also, stay tuned this week. It's a big week. I got my review coming out for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So excited for this movie as a big Mission Impossible fan. I rewatched all of the rest of them these past, I think it was 7 or 8 weeks. So excited for that. So stay tuned on the channel. Turn on those post notifications. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.